Well, hello and welcome to my first ever statement earrings tutorial on YouTube. First things first, this is the slab that I'm going to be working with, but just so you know, it's already been made. I'm not going to be doing the slab in this video. No. However, these stripes, we're going to do those in this video, so that's exciting. It's one of my most highly requested tutorials is to do a stripe tutorial, so we are going to do that today. I'm not even gonna lie, I'm pretty nervous, so please don't judge me and just enjoy this. Alright, let's quickly talk about the clay. So Sculpey Souffle is one of my favorites. This one here is Poppy Seed, which is their black, and then this beautiful dusty pink, sort of rosy pink color is called Guava, and then we have honestly my favorite red of all time, which is Cherry Pie. I mean, the name's cute, right? And then white, of course, which is called Igloo. So Souffle is one of my favorite brands of clay to use, if you couldn't tell already, if you haven't been following me already. Now also I'm just sharing here the recipe for the pink slab base on that slab. So it is 1 part guava to 4 parts souffle. Skipping in now, these are the shape cutters that I've used for this project. It's a mix of 3D shape cutters and stainless steel shape cutters. I'm thinking about doing a review on different types of shape cutters and different brands, so let me know if you're keen for that in the comments below. But yeah, these are just some random ones that I chose to use for this particular project, and I do use some more further on as well. So obviously we need to cut the slab up to get our first lot of components. Now I wanted to talk through this, I've kind of sped this up, but I really wanted to talk through it and just let you know how I put together the slab. Now I am going to be doing tutorials specifically for slab making, so going through layering and all of that sort of stuff, so I didn't really want to focus on that within this tutorial because I'm going to be doing stripes later on. However, as you can see, it's a simple pink base, which I have used my large guides, which I'm also going to talk about later on as well. My tools, you know, I designed some tools. So I just used my large guide to get that base, and then I popped some semicircle red shapes on top and then layered over top with some little sort of fan shapes in the white, and then put some polka dots on, and obviously rolled down to my final depth using my small depth guides. Now if you're like, what the fuck is she talking about, what the hell are depth guides, we'll get into that sort of later on. But what you can see here is how I am cutting out my components, making sure that I get a little bit of each design, a little bit of each color, a little bit of the polka dots, a little bit of this on every single component. And not only that, I am actually trying to use as much as humanly possible that I can out of the slab, because I don't like to waste clay. It's PVC plastic, guys, come on. Now when I do that, that's me mixing it up, and I can use that again for a basic base. Oh my god, also this, why is she laying out the components like a weirdo? Just saying. Retrospect, my god, honestly. Is that not the best hack ever? So many people say to me, oh my god, Cherie, how do I get rid of lint and dirt and dust off light coloured clays? And this is the exact way that you do it. So you soak your cotton tip in the alcohol, you rub lightly over the surface wherever you can see lint and dust, and as you're rubbing, you slightly twist that cotton tip, and it will just pick all the hair and lint off your components. Great thing is that the alcohol does evaporate, so it doesn't affect the clay, but you have to be careful. Don't use 100% alcohol, don't use acetone, don't use nail polish remover, don't use weird things. Just stick to rubbing alcohol and a cotton tip. It's super simple. I've heard of a lot of people using things like baby wipes. Well, they're just covered in lint, so you're just putting more lint onto your components. I've also heard of people using X-Acto knives to get shave the hair off. This is such a simple way to do it, guys, and you can do it on either raw or cured clay. I mean, you're just winning. You're winning. You know, this is a hack for you to keep now. So just be thankful, right? I like to share things. You just can't go wrong. I'm obsessed. It's like the best hack ever. Okay, I'm going on about it a little bit. Let's just move on. Let's just look at how good they look now, because they look fucking amazing. Yeah, winning. So what we're going to do now is we're going to prepare all of our clay, well, our two clays, our black and our white for our stripes. So you're going to see that come up in a second. Yeah, let's do it. Alright, so right here you can see my small depth guides and also a full bar of poppy seed souffle clay. Now what I'm doing is rolling it out. What I need is a long, sort of big rectangle sized piece of clay. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. That's all one depth, so that I can cut rectangle shapes out. You're going to see why in a minute. But what I'm doing is I'm showing you how you can use my depth guides. I also have a clay machine and probably would use a clay machine normally if I was doing this, especially if I wanted to have thinner clay. But anyway, this is at about 3 mil and it works perfectly. So if you don't have a pasta machine or clay machine, you can easily use my guides to do the exact same thing, which is basically just getting an even piece of clay. And then it just goes on. I mean, I didn't really need to have all this in there, but you know, it's showing you the whole process. So I'm going to cut out, for some reason I cut this in half. I don't know why, but I cut it in half. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some baking paper. I'm going to like rustle around in my drawer because I'm trying to find stuff that I already have, you know. Oh no, it's not on that side, it's on that side. Oh, there's my shape cutter. Okay, good. Anyway, so we're going to put some baking paper underneath, which just makes it a lot easier when you're cutting out anything from a slab, whether it's got patterns on or not. I just find it easier. So what I want, and the reason why I do this when I'm making stripes, is to eliminate waste. So what I used to do is I used to just like sort of stack all weird shapes together. It's basically a stacking technique. And then I used to just have to cut off all the sides. So it was just wasting so much. Now, if you want to, you could use a bigger shape cutter, a big square shape cutter, just whatever you use. It's easier if it's got those nice sharp edges and it's not a round shape, so that the clay that you do cut is actually fully usable, which is the whole point. But yeah. Also, the little bits that are left over there, they can all be reused. And what I like to do when I'm doing my... now, one thing to note here. Obviously, I'm using the white. I've cleaned my hands, I've cleaned my work surface, and I've also cleaned the guides using a surface wipe or baby wipe, just to stop any extra colour transfer onto that white clay, because we all know white is the hardest clay to use. It's horrible. So just clean everything. That's the only thing that I can suggest to you to avoid any colour transfer, because on white it's going to happen like literally the moment you touch it. So we're going to do exactly the same thing now that we just did with the black. We're just going to roll it out. Now, one thing I did notice when I was doing this, I did actually get a little bit of, I don't know how it happened, but it did. I got a little bit of black, and you're probably not going to be able to see it in the video, but I know it's there, which is the reason why I am folding it a few times. So if you notice the fact that I'm folding that clay, it's because I can see a line of black down the middle, and I kind of just want to get rid of it. So that's why I'm doing that. You don't normally have to do that. Of course, if you were to put the white through the clay machine, there's also a huge chance. My pasta machine is an Atlas Wellness. There's a huge chance that you'll get colour transfer from whatever projects you've been doing earlier, and it always happens with white. It's a nightmare. But yeah. Oh my god, it looks like marshmallow. It looks good enough to eat. Okay, I mean, it's awkwardly long, and I probably should have sped this up. But let's just cut this out. Again, we're looking for baking paper. Now, basic baking paper, perfect for the job. I try to reuse it as much as I possibly can as well, so that's why you'll always see me like fiddling around in my drawers trying to reuse baking paper. Another really good tip, before you go and cut your white, make sure that you clean your shape cutter, because otherwise you'll end up with colour transfer. Oh, this is riveting stuff, isn't it? I really should have fast forwarded. Anyway, so what we want is we want an even amount of rectangles, so black and white. Look, with a stripe, you can also do as many colours as you like. It doesn't have to be black and white. Obviously, black and white is one of the more effective stripes to do. You could be doing, I don't know, you could do anything. You could do navy and white, you could do navy and coral and white and gold. You can just do whatever you like. For the simple tutorial today, we are just doing black and white. Another thing that you can also do is you can have your white thinner or your black thinner, so they don't have to be equal depths, they can actually be different depths, and that can give you a different effect as well. Alright, oh, we did well, we got so much out of that. Alright, now obviously I'm going to do lay it all out and make it look cute so that I can do a little picture. But anyway, let me talk you through stacking your stripe cane, and we'll just see how we go. Okay, so now that we have all of our little rectangles cut out, I'm not going to be using every single rectangle that I cut out earlier. I'm actually only going to be using like a few. So I'm starting with black, and then I'm going to stack alternatively black, white, black, white, black, white, obviously to get our stripes. And you can see now what I was talking about, having the rectangles just saves so much clay. If you were to do those in odd shapes, even in round, you still have to trim the edges off to get a nice square finish. So you're saving so much clay by just cutting out little rectangles. You can do squares so that you've got more to slice from, or you can just measure it out to any shape. I just find this the easiest way to do it, and yeah, I just find it the best. Okay, I mean, look, that stacking game. The key thing is just to try and get it as even as possible. Make sure that you have alternate colors. So on the bottom you've got your black, on the top you need to have the white. That way then when you lie it down on your little slab of clay, it's going to be, you're going to be able to lie the different slices alternately. I mean, I'm not even making sense. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Anyway, we've stacked our clay. All I'm doing there is just pressing it down slightly just to make sure that all the little pieces have stuck together. You don't want to press too much, otherwise you'll change the, you'll sort of make some of the top and bottom slices a bit thinner. We don't want to do that. So that little black clay ball that I'm rolling up there is from the leftovers that I had from when I cut out the black rectangles. So we're just going to use that to make a really thin slab. Now I'm just running it through my clay machine, and it's about, I'm going to say probably 2 mil thick. Not even 2 mil, actually probably less than that. It's nice and thin, and we really only want a thin base just to add strength to our stripe slab. If you were to lay the stripes out without anything underneath it, it's going to be really weak and break easily. So when we're using it for components for earrings, that's not ideal. I mean, she's trimming. I mean, I'm making it look very difficult, where I probably should just get I'm about to. So I'm just going to get a nice thin tissue slicing blade just to clean up the edges. And we're going to do that in a second. Stainless steel blade. Honestly, I use these all the time in my studio. I like to have fresh ones, so that's why I'm opening another packet. Alright, So we're trimming the edges, and then all we're going to do now is just lay that black out. Kind of fits. Now you're going to see me slice down and make a bit of a mistake here. I sliced too thin on that one, and the next one was way too fat. So for the first one, I reckon that's probably about 3 mil thick, and I'm just going to lay it on that black slab. I'm going to cut another one, and this one I also cut a little bit too thick, and I see that, so I cut one that's a little bit thinner and replace it, and then you'll see me fix that one. Just using the blade to slice down and then laying it on. Now if you had a longer piece of black, you could obviously keep slicing off that stack and make a larger slab, but we only really need to have this amount for the components that I'm making, so it's fine. Trimming off the sides is just going to keep it nice and crisp, and what we want to do now is we want to try and get the stripes to an even depth. They look absolutely perfect now. If I had a Lucy clay slicing tool, I would probably not need to do this because they would obviously all come out at the exact same thickness, but because we want it to match the components we've already made, we need to make it a consistent depth. So using my small depth guides, which are around about 3 mil, I'm just going to roll it vertically. Don't roll it with the lines horizontal to you, that will just completely ruin your whole design. Make sure that they're vertical the entire time. Keep the guides really, really close to the slab, and just keep picking it up and moving it. This is where most people will find their stripes go crazy, wobbly, wonky, whatever words you want to use. This is when it all happens. So the gentler you are and the closer you keep those guides to stop it from spreading out too much, the better you'll be. Also, what I do is I pick it up and I stretch it a little bit on each end, and that just helps keep those stripes nice and even. So now we're just going to literally lay it on some baking paper and start cutting from the slab. The only tip that I can really give you about cutting from a stripe slab is that you cut your components from the same area on the stripe slab. So if you cut one component in one area, don't move to another part of the slab and cut from another part. You need to keep it really close together, so then the stripes will line up. I mean, it seems simple, doesn't it? So now I'm pretty much just going to go through and cut all the little components that I want to go with the other slab that we cut out earlier. And we're just going to cut all those out and put them aside. I mean, stripes are so effective. So like I said earlier, you could also do lots of different colors as well. Like, you don't just have to do black and white stripes. You can do navy and mustard. You could do pink and red. You can do like 4 or 5 different colors in a stripe if you want to. You can get really creative with it, and once you get the technique down, they can look really effective. Anyway, I'll let you enjoy me cutting these out. Okay guys, here are all our stripe components, all cut out with minimal waste. So yeah, I had a few pieces that I didn't cut straight and perfectly, but they can be used for other little bits and pieces and other projects. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with these components. They worked out pretty nice. And you can see there just the backing just helps with the strength. It's so thin you can't even see it on the side, so I think it's pretty fantastic. What you're going to see next is the pieces all laid out with the other components that we cut earlier, and I sort of just arranged them with those pieces. So I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. I think that they look really fun. I think the stripes mixed with the polka dots are amazing. The pink and red, obvious choice. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with those. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get them onto a tray and cure them. Okay, so when I am curing, I use a thick cookie tray, baking tray, and I just put a layer of baking paper underneath. I lay out my components the same way that I want them to go together. And when usually what I do is I will grab my dotting tool and do just a little tiny guide dot. So just a little indentation of where I want my jump rings to go and how I want those pieces to go together. I find this is really easy for keeping a track of what pieces go where, and yeah, it just helps me. It's so much faster when I drill the holes afterwards with my Dremel. But you'll soon see that I do make mistakes. So these are going in the oven at 130 degrees, which is 130 degrees Celsius, or 275 Fahrenheit if you're in America or somewhere else. Now, I generally bake for 40 minutes to 50 minutes, sometimes slightly longer. I find with slab earrings, 40 to 50 is perfect. Oh, and with the magic of editing, here they are, already cured. Now this is actually the next day. I left them in the oven overnight. I just forget about them. I find that's the best way. I'm going to talk more in depth about curing later on. Oh my God, we're straight into it. All right, so that is my Dremel 3000 on the stand. Now I also have the detail shaft, which you can see is that sort of long tube, comes down to a little handpiece. Obviously we need a mask and glasses, and yeah, we're going to rock straight into drilling. Now what I generally tend to do is I will just grab the pieces, and it's just a 1.5 mil drill bit, and I'm literally just drilling a hole in there. The speed's probably on about 50%. It's not on full speed, otherwise I feel like it gets a bit crazy. There's still room for mistakes. I make them all the time, just so you know. Now we're whipping into sanding. Now I don't want everyone to freak out because I'm just changing the collets there, if you can tell. So this just changing from my drilling bit to my sanding bit. Now I'm not going into an in-depth sanding or finishing in any way video right now, because I still have not got the perfect bit that I really like for sanding. So I'm wanting to just make sure that I have the perfect tools first and the perfect technique before I actually do a tutorial on it. So really I'm taking you through the paces and the process of what I'm actually doing. So what I've got there is actually a buffing piece. It's like basically a round piece of felt. I find that it doesn't really stand the test of time, and that I have to get another one, so it just really annoys me. But yeah, all we're doing is just tidying up the edges, making sure we have no smudging, making sure there's no sharp edges. So it's a pretty simple process. And sometimes I actually get out the sandpaper if I feel like I can't quite get the exact finish that I want with my Dremel, because sometimes the Dremel can be a bit rough. I'll just grab 800 grit sandpaper and just go over it again just a little bit. But yeah, sanding I think is a whole video in itself. Like there's no way that I can get all of that in this. So yeah, we'll just go through the simple sort of process. So you can see here I wasn't 100% happy with the finish that my Dremel gave, so I just wanted to go over it quickly with a little bit of sandpaper. There's lots of other techniques that we can talk about later on as well. Oh yeah. So the glue that I use is an epoxy resin. It's a 2-part that you mix together. Obviously, again, I'm not going to go into detail with this. This is a whole nother video. This here, just showing you the mistake I made. Did you see that hole is totally crooked? So I can't use that. And in exchange, I'm actually going to opt out the top and just use hooks instead. So you'll see that come together as a way not to waste what you're actually doing. But yeah, I'm going to do gluing and finishing and all of that in a different detailed video. This is now we're just going into putting them all together, So you can just see the steps in the process. We drill the holes, we sand the pieces, we go through, we glue all the backings. So this is like a whole day. I can't, this has taken me 3 days to make this video, but yeah. So all that's starting to come together now. So happy. Yeah, so I'm just using black jump rings. I use surgical stainless steel findings, and my little backs that I like to use, so the clutches, are comfort backs. You can see here. I really love these. They're just so comfortable to wear. They look cute because they've got a bit of gold on them. And yeah, so those are all the bits that I like to use. When it comes to prepping our earrings and backings for gluing, I want to go into a really detailed video on that. I don't want to try and put it all into this. So yeah, I guess you're just getting to see a bit of the process, but it's been super fun making these. I think they've turned out really well. I wanted the main part of this video to really be about the stripes and putting those together. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. I've had fun. It's been a long one, so if you've got all the way to this part of the video, I'm super proud. There's a lot of time lapsing towards the end because I was like, oh my God, it's going to be half an hour long, but we've done really well. So those are the hooks. They turned out so cute. That's what happens if you make a mistake. Don't waste your components. Find another way to use them. Yay! And in this little clip coming up, you're just going to see all the tools that I use. It's kind of just a reminder of the things that I used in the video. So you've got your clay, you've got your roller and your guides, you've got your glasses, your safety goggles and your mask, and all your little bits and pieces for putting things together. You've got your findings, surgical stainless steel, black jump rings, comfort backs. If you have a Dremel, great. If you don't, you can hand sand, you can hand drill holes. You don't need to have a fancy tool like that, but no, it's helpful. It's helpful. Yeah, and there's all our statement earrings. Oh my God, alcohol and cotton tip, one of my key tools. And I think the only thing I haven't put in here is baby wipes, but hey. Yes. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've liked to see sort of part of the process. I know it's been skipped over in a lot of pieces, but I'm really, really hoping that you enjoyed my first statement earrings tutorial. I'm looking forward to getting into more detail as we go along, but yay, thank you for joining me. I hope you have fun, go make some amazing shit, and have a fantastic day. All right, bye.